Hey guys, what's up? DJ's Aviation. In today's video, I'll be analysing Air Canada. We will cover their history, past, current and future fleets, as well as their financial states. I do hope you enjoy the video. We begin with a little look at Air Canada's past. This includes their establishment and progression through the ranks in the industry. Air Canada was incorporated as Trans-Canada Airlines by an Act of Parliament all the way back in April of 1937. The idea of this airline was to provide a publicly owned air transportation service to the people of Canada and the world. Using $5 million in Crown seed money, 2 Lockheed Model 10 Electras and 1 Boeing Stearman biplane were purchased from Canadian Airlines and enabled the airline to begin operations. The airline also found experienced airline executives from both United Airlines and American Airlines. These people were brought into the airline to help establish it and grow it. By 1964, after a lot of growth, the airline became Canada's national airline and airline of choice for most. This led to a submission of a private member's bill to change the name of the airline from Trans-Canada Airlines to Air Canada. This particular bill actually failed, but then was later resubmitted and passed. The name change took effect on the 1st of January 1965. In 1987, the airline introduced routes across the Atlantic to Glasgow, Manchester, London, Paris, Zurich, Dusseldorf, Munich, Geneva and Frankfurt, Bombay and Singapore, as well as a number of cargo flights to Shannon and Brussels. In addition to these new routes, the airline was also providing extensive services to the US and Caribbean. When it comes to the growth of the airline, as we touched on briefly, it came mainly in the 1960s and 1970s. The airline held a 77.8% stake in domestic traffic at one stage. However, passenger numbers and cargo numbers actually declined in the early 1980s. However, the company responded well with pay cuts and equipment sales. By the 1990s, the airline started to face an even more rapid decline. The government privatised the company in 1989, but its financial losses continued. This was heavily down to the Persian Gulf War. In 1992, the airline, along with Canadian Airlines, began negotiating a merger that was ultimately unsuccessful at that time. Air Canada did in fact enter into an agreement with Continental in December of the same year. The next decade was also rather rocky for the airline. Air Canada faced heavy competition by the 2000s from discount carriers like WestJet. At the end of 2000, Air Canada issued a profit warning and from there cut 3,500 jobs. It certainly was a shaky period for the airline. The September 11 incident, which occurred in 2001, heavily impacted Air Canada, but also carriers around the world. The airline, among others, experienced significant turmoil. A recovery looked impossible at this stage. However, due to a massive overhaul and change in operations, the airline did recover after multiple years of struggle. In 2001, Air Canada did eventually merge with Canadian Airlines. Instead of the Air Canada brand disappearing, the airline acquired all of Canadian Airlines aircraft throughout the year of 2000, with the merger officially being completed on the first day of 2001. Due to all of these incidents, in 2003, the airline reported a loss of $428 million. I believe this number is in Canadian dollar, however the number could also be in US. During the 2000s, the airline also went under fleet modernisation, as well as livery and uniform changes. This included the departure of the long-serving Boeing 747-400 and introduction of the A340s. Included in this modernisation was Project XM, which began in July of 2006, and was an extreme makeover worth $300 million of the aircraft interiors. New cabins were fitted onto all aircraft, excluding ones like the 777s, which had recently been delivered with the new cabin design. The airline's past fleet is certainly extensive, yet also fantastic when it comes to the variety, with aircraft like the 747, A340, 727, 747-100, all featuring in the jetliner side of things, and a large selection of propeller jets also having operated with the airline. The current fleet, similar to some, is also going under a rather extensive refresh, with a number of aircraft either being phased out or set to be delivered. Currently, the airline operates a mixed fleet of Airbus and Boeing aircraft, with a few Embraers also featuring. The airline operates the A319s, however 8 of them are set to be phased out by the end of this year. They operate the A320s, which are also set to be phased out in the coming years. They aim to keep their A321s, however, and keep them operating with their new Boeing 737 MAX 9 fleet. The airline also uses 8 A330-300s, 2 737 MAX 8s at this stage, 9 Boeing 767-300ERs, with 4 of them to be phased out by the end of this year as well, the 777-200LR, 777-300ER, and the 787-8 and 9 variants. Finally, the airline uses 25 of the E190s. The future of Air Canada is bright without a doubt. The airline has 45 of the CS300s on order, with 30 more options. These will replace the A319s and E190s. The airline also has both the MAX 8 and MAX 9s on order. They currently don't have any of the new 777Xs on order, however in the future it'd be interesting to see if they place orders, possibly the Dash 8 version, if they were in favour of range over capacity. This has been the past, present and future of Air Canada, an airline that has had a past full of ups and downs, but has come out on the right side. I hope you all enjoyed the video.